Yesterday and last week, I reported on these new airstrikes that took place in Damascus, that took place in Syria. You know, the Zionist occupation have zero respect for human rights and international law, so they permit themselves to carry out airstrikes in neighboring countries on a regular basis, whether it's Iran, Lebanon, Syria. And by their own admission, they've done hundreds of them inside Syria since the start of the war alone. So we're not even addressing the ones that also took place regularly before 2011. So when they carried out this airstrike last week on 20th of July, they actually ended up killing someone from Hezbollah, and they're scared now. They're scared. So take a look at what happened today, right? The headline reads, Israel warns Hezbollah via the United Nations against mounting reprisal. So according to the Israeli message, as reported by Lebanese news outlet al-mayadeen, Hezbollah operative Al-Kamil Mohsen Jawad was not the intended target of an airstrike in Damascus last week. Which makes it totally okay, right? So they wounded 7 Syrian soldiers, and there were other casualties, and one of the people that they killed was Jawad from Hezbollah, and now they're like, oh, we're totally sorry about that. That was an accident. No, what were you doing in Syria in the first place? Like if you didn't kill him, that makes it okay? Wounding 7 Syrian soldiers is okay. Violating Syrian sovereignty is okay. Violating Syrian airspace is okay. Bombing Syria is okay. And so, not only are they not really apologizing, they're just scared shitless because of Hezbollah. Because if you recall correctly, southern Lebanon was liberated by Hezbollah, right? In the year 2000. And then I remember in 2006, I was actually next door in Syria. Israel invaded Lebanon again, and they got their asses kicked. And they withdrew within a matter of weeks because Hezbollah kicked their asses. So they're scared shitless of a response from Hezbollah. And so this is why they're saying that, oh, oops, we didn't mean to kill that guy. We didn't mean to kill Jawad. It says Israel on Saturday issued a stern warning to Hezbollah via the United Nations that it will not tolerate any act of aggression following the death of a Hezbollah operative in Damascus last Monday. Let me read that again. That Israel will not tolerate any act of aggression. No. You committed the act of aggression when you illegally bomb someone's country and you kill foreign national on top of it. That is an act of aggression. You are the aggressor. What kind of twisted logic is this? Oh, that's right. Zionist, American, imperialist logic. That's what it is. Israel also sent a message of de-escalation to Hezbollah via Moscow. Once again, I mean, you go in and kill people and bomb them, and then you're like, oh, you better de-escalate. It's time to de-escalate. You know, you got to swallow what we do to you. You got to swallow these aggressions and accept them. And you better de-escalate, or else you're a terrorist. How dare you defend yourself? So on Thursday, the IDF began reinforcing the country's northern border with infantry troops after Hezbollah threatened to retaliate. Now, what they're doing is essentially they're, they have this Iron Dome missile system, which shoots down any rockets that are fired over into the Zionist occupation. And the translation of this sentence, when they say the IDF began reinforcing the country's northern border, means they're scared shitless. And they should be, because they get their asses kicked. So on top of that, once again, according to al-mayadeen, meanwhile, Israel said it did not intend to kill Jawad and that he was not the target of the reported airstrike. Wow. Well, thank you for clearing that up. Thank you for clearing up your aggression and military incursion and airstrike. That's really comforting. And I love the last sentence here. Quote, the IDF and the entire defense establishment will act decisively against any threat to Israeli citizens. Lebanon and Syria will bear direct responsibility for any action taken from their territory. Well, Why doesn't that apply to you? I mean, by your own logic, shouldn't you bear any responsibility when you kill Syrian citizens, when you kill Lebanese nationals? What is this double standard? Day in, day out, week in, week out, decade in, decade out. This is what Arabs have to go through. This double standard that is not just perpetuated by Israel, but reinforced by the United Nations and the international community and the United States backing them, letting them get away with genocide of the Palestinian people, letting them get away with land grabbing, annexation, ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people, and on top of it, the continued violation and aggression and bombing of neighboring countries. With impunity, no consequences, ever, for nothing at all. But if Syria did that, if Lebanon had done that, if Iran had done that to Israel, you would not hear the end of it. Never. About how their sovereignty is being violated and how everyone is a threat to their security. But it's okay for them to bomb other countries with impunity, right? This is unbelievable. So, just about an hour ago on al-mayadeen, you had the second in command from Hezbollah. So, the leader is Nasrallah, and the second in command is Qasim, Sheikh Qasim. And he comes on for an interview, and he told them that, look, every time you kill one of ours, there will be a response. But he did not specify whether it's going to be in the near future, whenever they find the opportunity, essentially. So you can tell, man, they're scared shitless. Otherwise, why are they issuing this statement? And it's so funny because if you go and watch reports from the Western mainstream media about this, the very few that you will even find, they've tried to frame it in a way that, like, oh, look, Hezbollah are looking super weak right now because we don't even know if they're going to retaliate. And, they don't have that much support anymore inside Lebanon. Yeah, it's just a bunch of bullshit. They've been saying that for the last 20 years. So I just wanted to highlight the double standard here, which, is continuous, never ending. Whenever we take a look at this conflict between the Arab neighboring countries and this illegal Zionist occupation, it's really disgusting. And this is an egregious affront upon the sovereignty of independent Arab nations, regardless. This is compounded on top of the injustices, the genocide that's being committed against Palestinians, right? So these are two issues where they're getting away with murder and aggression with absolute immunity. It's really disgusting. And no one holds them accountable, ever, right? They're not going to talk about this on CNN. Oh, no. And, once again, you'll have people drawing you into this conversation where it's about, why are you mad, bro? They just killed a terrorist. No, you're not listening. You don't have permission to go inside someone else's country. You don't have permission to bring jets with you and conduct airstrikes in someone else's country. Do you understand this concept? Does that click in your fucking brain? Does that click? Also, this entire notion that people who are liberating their own land, guerrilla fighters, resistance fighters, are terrorists, this is Western propaganda, because it is clearly, explicitly, unmistakably written in international law. It is enshrined in the UN Charter and the Geneva Convention that you have the absolute 100% legal right to resist an illegal occupation of your country, of your homeland, using any means necessary. So when people come into your borders with their army, okay, and sit there for 20 plus years, and you get sick and tired of their shit, that's not called terrorism. That's called a resistance movement, okay? You don't look at the French resistance in World War II, killing Nazis, and then say, oh, they're terrorists. No, that is a resistance movement, and you are purposely being intellectually dishonest and an imperialist when you are labeling people that are fighting for their homeland as terrorists. Of course you would say that, because you are either uneducated or you are an imperialist. I'm not going to engage in some kind of debate. It's not a debate. It's like someone trying to debate if 1 + 1 = 2. That's not a fucking debate. If you don't comprehend that, that's your problem. Okay? There's people out there in the Middle East that are dying. There's people out there in the Middle East who are sick of being under armed occupation, under illegal occupation. Do you understand that? Probably not. If you did understand that, you wouldn't talk like a fucking moron.